Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana Market Update video. Today is Tuesday, the 8th of October. Hope you all are doing well. It was an amazing weekend over here. Had some family stuff going on, sports stuff, and then yesterday my son had to get some second round of tubes put in his ears. So for any parents out there who have dealt with that, you know what we're going through. But second round for him, also had to get his adenoids out. He's doing great though. He's a champ. He's already back at daycare today. There were no concerns whatsoever. So apologize for not having a video yesterday, but it was much needed. It needed to be there for the little guy. So with that being said, let's get into it. We've got quite a bit to talk about today. We are going to start off with the first chapter. The first chapter has kind of hit that break point that I'm always talking about. We're up to 240 for the lowest listing, especially if you want to get a verified booster box. Sealed boxes at 240. You can get some like loose packs and stuff, which I would not recommend. Those are most likely sorted. I would definitely go for the either verified or at least a sealed, right? This Eclipse Collectibles looks fine. 101 sales, 100% customer satisfaction, 239. But the bigger picture here is that we are at the 240 price point. Now, the main hiccup here, the main thing that we're waiting on is to see when those boxes of the first chapter from the restock that happened at this point, maybe it was like a month ago, three to 4 weeks ago. When are those going to hit the hands of the people who were able to buy them? So if any of you guys who bought those can verify when you're expected to get those boxes, that would be fantastic. And then that's going to give us some more insight if this was like a reprint or if this was just the final allocation they have. When's it going to get here? And then we're going to be able to see price action and things like that. So if anyone can comment below, they got the most recent Amazon listing and when those boxes in October are coming, I would appreciate it. So that way we can just have some more knowledge there on when those boxes are coming in. But right now we're up at 240. I would hold off on buying the first chapter right now if you're looking to keep it sealed, just because I don't know what the market's going to do with the big supply that we're going to get. I say big in the grand scheme of things, it's not really big at all. It's just I know a lot of people got like 20 boxes, right? And so that could cause a little bit of short-term price volatility. Obviously, first chapter is a great long-term hold in my opinion. It's iconic and all the provenance is there. I don't need to belabor the point, but we're back up to 240, which came really quickly. So this is always kind of that injunction of where are we gonna? Is it gonna slowly just kind of creep up from here, or are we gonna see these huge undercuts happen back down to 220, which has happened every other time we've gotten here before the first reprint? So I would imagine we're going back to 220 just based on historical trends. So that's all I would say. At the end of the day, if you want to get a first chapter box, go get it. 240 I think is a fine price long term, but I would imagine just based off historical trends that we're going to go back to 220 before we go up to 300 or anything like that, as this box continues to have an insane sell-through rate. We're seeing lots of sales at 239 already, or I guess three, shouldn't say lots, but three sales today at 239, and then we've got all sorts of sales over the weekend that happened at the 220, 230, mid 220s price point. So that is where we're at with the first chapter currently. Exciting times, very excited to see where that box goes from here. Moving on to the D23 Collector's Box. Right now we're seeing a 321 lowest list on TCG Player. eBay is very similar, and we see the boxes have been selling around that price point, even higher. We had multiple boxes go for 318, 330, 349. Two boxes went for. So this listing for 320 for two boxes seems pretty good in terms of overall market value. This product remains a great long-term hold in my opinion. I personally don't have any of these boxes sealed. I only bought one on secondary market. I opened them. I did buy a lot of the Brave Little Taylor arts from inside the box because I love that particular card, but I don't have any of these sealed. But it does look like these are going to be a great long-term hold based on the fact that it's 3x in price in about a month and a half since the box was released. Seems to be a lot more demand than supply for that particular box. Now, there's always the chance that people are sitting on boxes of 20, 30, 40 of these boxes, collections of these boxes, and there's going to be times where we might see some lower prices in the future. But overall, I think that this box is going to remain a very, very good hold, and it clearly has a lot of demand. One of the most exciting things going on the seal front, guys, is Rise of the Floodborn. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this, but we are getting some very, very low quantity of cases of Rise of the Floodborn. Really individual boxes too, which we'll touch on next. But the cases, there are only 3 listings on all of TCG Player. Obviously, it's not $1,000 box, so don't ever pay $1,200 or $1,000. At least right now, we're a long time off from that. But there is 3 boxes available for essentially, what is that? Pretty much $600 all in, give or take. And so there's, and I will say, I checked on eBay and I couldn't find too many boxes for under like $680 on eBay, I think was the lowest I saw. And there wasn't that many of them. So it appears to be somewhat of a supply shortage for Rise of the Floodborn cases. Now, when we look at the individual boxes, like I said, it's not that much better. There is obviously more boxes than cases, but there's only 15 listings in total. For the individual boxes you see here, 15 other listings, $139.99. You add in the $15 shipping and you're at $155 for a single box. Now, when you look through all the different listings, you're up to almost $170 all in on the first page. And then there's only 2 pages of listings. Highest is at $275 per box. But it's worth noting that like there's not a listing that's like 100 boxes like we see sometimes with Rise or with the first chapter. We see 2, 1, 1, 8, 2 on the second page. We've got 3, 7, 3, 4, 3, 5, right? So these boxes can be bought up in a really, really short amount of time. And I've been on record from the start saying that I feel like Rise of the Floodborn is the least printed set, and quantities are getting very, very low. I know there's been a lot of sentiment in the community around we don't want to see a reprint of the Rise of the Floodborn. I think that has yet to be decided. I don't have any insider information on what Ravensburger plans to do with reprints. All we know is they've reprinted the first chapter once, and so far that's all we know. But look, this set hasn't even been out for a year. They could very easily reprint it, and at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I don't know if they are or not. I know obviously a lot of people that watch my channel are opposed to that because they've got a lot of cards and collectability and things like that in the sealed boxes, cases, individual enchanteds, etc. So I get that point of view, but I'm just saying I don't know what the future is going to hold here, but I know that this has been a really, really cool box to see. Very, very affordable back in April at $105, and then it's just slowly ticked up into the right, which is kind of what I envisioned for Lorcana long term when we talk about these sealed boxes. So much demand, especially for something like the first chapter that has been printed so much, but the sell-through rate on that thing is still just absolutely insane. I think the future is going to be very, very bright for that particular box. I made a mistake with Rise of the Floodborn. It's worth sharing. Hopefully you guys don't make the same mistake. Whenever the Disney store had their sale for Rise of the Floodborn, I bought 12 boxes. So I thought I bought 3 cases. At the time, I had 2 cases here, but Rise of the Floodborn singles were surging, and for the price that I paid for those boxes versus the expected value, it made a lot of sense to open those cases because I had more coming at a very discounted cost basis, and the individual cards that I was going to get out of these and list in my store and sell, etc., get enchanteds graded and whatnot, it just made a lot of sense. And it was a good decision. I pulled 2 enchanteds out of the 2 cases I opened. I was very plus EV. I sold a ton of singles. It worked out very well. I was positive on the value there. But then when I got the boxes from the Disney store, they weren't in cases. And so I just assumed that if I bought in quantities of 4, I would get cases since they were from Disney. It just seemed like what would happen. And that is not the case. So I got 12 individual boxes. So I don't even have a case of Rise of the Floodborn. I had multiple and I don't have any now. So just a word to the wise. Don't make the same mistake I did. I assumed, and that's what I get for assuming. So just a heads up on the cases. But Rise of the Floodborn, awesome set, very underrated. I think it was sandwiched between. I think Rise of the Floodborn is without a doubt better than Inklands. Inklands is my least favorite set thus far from a collectability standpoint. First set with the locations, it's got some cool arts. I'm not saying that there's nothing good going for it, but I always felt Rise of the Floodborn was undervalued. just the Cinderella alone, in my opinion. You guys know how I feel about that card, but it's also got the Alice, it's got the Snow White, it's got a ton of playability. I love Rise of the Floodborn, and listing quantities are getting very, very low. So just a heads up on that. Moving on to, we have a new set champs card that is out, the Mirabel. We talked about it in our update last, I think Thursday or Friday. And we're seeing people pay like $700 for the card. I advise strongly against that. I said the card is probably going to be about a $50 card, and that is kind of what we're seeing now. So we have our first round of set champs that happened over the weekend. Congrats to everyone who won. In the Discord, I know the set champs here where I'm at are a little bit later in the month. So for those of you who don't play or are not familiar, this Mirabel card is the next set championship card. So you think about the Stitch, then you think about the Ursula. Those were the first two. This is the third iteration of that tournament where everyone goes through their LGS and they participate in a one-day event. Essentially, it takes anywhere between like 5 to 10 hours. And you compete for a card and a playmat, similar to like a Disney Lorcana challenge, just on a smaller scale. A lot more of them individual little areas and communities that have these particular events. This is the third set championship card. There's going to be 8 of these awarded. Top 8 in the past. There was only top 4 for the Stitch and the Ursula. So plenty quantity available of these. In addition to Lorcana's growing, so there's going to be more stores offering the set championships. My story here, guys, remains the same as last week. It's just wait. If you're not a player and you want to collect this card, like in my case, my daughter loves Encanto, and that's one of the newer Disney movies that we've watched a ton of, and so I'm undoubtedly buying this card. Probably buy multiple copies of the card. I think the card looks amazing. But with that being said, right, if I don't win one, there's plenty of time to get this card. You got to think about the Ursula Sea Witch Queen set championship that came out, 3 months ago at this point. That card's still below 100, and there was at least half of the quantity of Lees. So I think we're going to see prices in the 30s and 40s for this particular card. And at the end of the day, I think that's awesome for us who want to buy it cheaply. Not as great for the players, rightfully so. That's, to pay $500 or $1,000 for a meta deck and have all these meta cards, and you get that $30 trophy card versus the Stitch, which is easily $400 or $500 trophy card, or when they won it over $1,000. It starts to kind of, we're gonna learn who's really here for Lorcana or who is here to collect the check. Because I think there's a fair amount of both. But I know there was, like, at my LGS, there were a lot of Magic players talking about it's really cool that they can actually get trophy cards or prize cards that are worth something. And that they were making more in Lorcana just over the 3 months they've been doing Lorcana than they had in 20 years of Magic and things like that. So this is going to start, at least when these cards are worth $30 or $40, not $1,000, going to change the landscape a little bit. But at the end of the day, I would just advise waiting on this card. If you recall, someone on eBay, who knows if the sale finalized, someone bought the card for like $700, just criminal what some people do to their money. If you guys have been around for a while, whenever Ursula's Return first came out, someone paid $700 for the enchanted Minnie Mouse that is now a $70 card. So just some silly people out there with their money. What is it? A fool in their money or quickly parted, soonly parted, something like that. I don't know. Don't pay $700 for a Mirabel set championship. That card's gonna be sub 50. This is the lowest quantity we're going to see on the market for a long time. Every weekend there's going to be more and more that are going to hit the market, so just wait on that one if you will. Let's take a quick peek at my favorite card, Cinderella, my favorite cheap card to collect. While we're here, looks like $1.30 is the lowest on the market right now, so quite a few sales away from $2. So just want to check in on that. How many listings available? 85, so still a ton. More listings for that card than almost every other promo, with a few exceptions. So still plenty of Cinderellas out there. Obviously that's a card caveat that I have a ton of. It's a princess and it's $1 and it's cold foil and it's got some unique art in the text box. So I like it from a collector's point of view, but transparency, I own a lot of them. Last but not least, guys, I wanted to check on the Disney 100 box. This is a box that came out in set 2 with Rise of the Floodborn, and it is a really good collector's item in my opinion, especially if you like to display, if you have like a display case or you collect sealed. I think the Disney 100 box makes a lot of sense. Let's see if we can't find the box. Where's it at? I must have just over. There it was. Okay. It seems lower than it should, but nevertheless, here we are. Lowest on the market for this box is 68. Once again, this came out in set 2 with Rise of the Floodborn. Historically, each set has had like a gift box or a collector's box, or like for Azurite Sea, we have a Stitch specific box. For Ursula's Return, we had or was that Shimmering Skies? Man, it's crazy. We have so many sets now. The products are starting to blend together. Before, I had a very clear understanding of which box was with which set. Now it's starting to blur a little bit, but we had the Ursula's Deep Trouble quest box, which is probably Ursula's Return, right, with the Ursula focus. But nevertheless, this is the box from set 2, and it's one of the few boxes that is like a collector specific box that came out with the set. So you think we have like the D23 2022 collector's box, we have the D23 2024 collector's box, and then we have the Disney 100 collector's box that came out with set 2. And this is just another one of the ones that displays very well. It's got 6 unique alt arts in it. It's got 4 Rise of the Floodborn packs in it, and it's kind of jam-packed with value. So even if you're new to Lorcana and you're starting your collection, I think one of these makes sense to buy and open, because from a value standpoint, you're going to get 4 Floodborn packs, which are going up consistently in price. You're also going to get the 6 alt arts, a couple of those being Elsa and Stitch, and Mickey Mouse, some of the most iconic IPs. And then in addition, this is an older product, right? So it came out in set 2. MSRP at the time, I think, was around 50. We're pretty close to that, right? Not too much movement there. It might have even been $59.99. I feel like I remember seeing that, but then that seems too high for a gift set box. Maybe it was, but regardless, we're still in a relevant range to MSRP. In this box, I think just makes a lot of sense. Once again, whether you're starting a collection and you want to open some packs from set 2 and you want to get some alt arts in your collection to kind of start your binder, looks great, perfect. And then in addition, and quick caveat, the Maui in this box is up there with, it's one of 2 of the hardest cards to grade in all of Lorcana. Can get a very significant premium if you're a grader. If you do get one that lands at 10, we're talking like sub 30%. It's pretty insane how hard this card is to grade. But I digress. But the box also looks very good sealed. It's got like it's shiny on the outside and things like that. And it's definitely a collector focused box. So there's that going for it as well. If you collect the sealed side of things, it's a box that's kind of remained pretty steady in price, right? Going back through even the last month, we're at $60, goes up to $65, back down to $60. Right now we're at $67. So pretty consistent in pricing, but I would this is a box I would expect to just kind of slowly tick up over time. And right now $67 seems like a fair price to get one. Plenty available, right? You don't have to rush out to get it. We've got this person's got 18, this person's got 10. 9 on the first page. Someone had double digits. They have 13 here, so you don't have to rush to go get it by any means. You could even get a couple from this particular seller, and that $20 of shipping goes down every time you if you bought like 5, for example, you could kind of get your cost basis down if you were in the market for quite a few of them. But that is just something I wanted to point out today that I think is a great item to start anyone's collection with, add to anyone's collection. Overall, I think things are in a really good spot. Congrats to everyone who got Ursula's Return for the discount for Best Buy. That was really, really exciting. I think we've, coming into the end of the year here, guys, we're going to be getting a lot of holiday deals and specials and things like that. It's going to be a great time to acquire some product. We're also probably going to see an uptick in the market a little bit, just in terms of cards and whatnot. Holiday spending usually has a pretty decent reflection here as well. We're obviously a lot of uncertainty around election and things like that, so who knows what direction the overall economy is going to go in. But just it's going to get interesting, right? There's no lack of excitement, that is for sure. There's a lot that could be going on. But overall, guys, that is where we're going to leave it today. I guess I'll give you the expected box value before I get out of here. Right, our first chapter, $204 right now, expected value. Rise of the Floodborn, $108. Into the Inklings, $102. Ursula's Return up to $78, which is nice because it was down at 70 for a really long time. Shimmering Skies holding strong at 82. So that is our expected values right now. We have Azurite Sea coming in a couple weeks. We've got Store Champs, our Set Champs. We've got our last DLC event, Continentals, Worlds. lot going on here, guys. Hopefully you're as excited as I am for the end of the year. It's going to be a really, really cool time. Going to be a great time to add some cards to the collection. I'm feeling really, really good about where things are at. I think there's a lot of cards that are they're very fairly priced, and cards that I want to add to my collection. So yeah, overall feeling really, really good. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate you watching. We're really close to 1,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. Thank you very much for all of the support. Thank you very much for all the constant comments, likes, etc. It's just been a pleasure getting this community started and starting this channel. So thank you to everyone who has been watching. We will be back with another video soon.